Welcome, Tarot Maniacs. We're going to be talking to Chris Cornell. Be right back. Welcome, everyone. I'm Annabelle, tarot practitioner for over 35 years and a psychic. There have been a lot of requests for me to do more mediumship on my channel and channeling on my channel. And Chris Cornell is one that not only you all requested, but my husband did too. I've got a number of requests for Michael Hutchinson from NXS. So Michael Hutchins, the guy from NXS. So I'm going to try and get to him before the end of the week as well. It may be a mini video, but this one, we're going to talk about one of the biggest, boldest voices in rock and roll history. He belonged back in the 70s, in my opinion, reminds me a lot of Phil Lynott. So Chris Cornell, singer of Soundgarden and also Audioslave. I was a big Audioslave fan, but I also like Soundgarden. We're going to talk about his sudden death, emotional truth, legacy, and unspoken messages from him. So I am using, to distract my logical mind, the Parisi Studio Classic Rock Tarot. Chris Cornell is in this deck. You can get this deck at parisistudios.com. I have no affiliation with them. It's just a really great tarot deck if you like classic rock and if you like tarot. So let's bring up that card view. I want you guys to hit the like button when I do it, because that's how we do things around here. I hope you guys are having a great week. And I especially hope that you're enjoying the Rockstar series that I am doing this week. Everybody seems to be digging it. So let's do some fun facts about Chris Cornell. Born July 20th, 1964 in Seattle, Washington. He was the frontman of Soundgarden and one of the pioneers of grunge music alongside Nirvana, Pearl Jam, Mother Love Bone. I'm saying it loud. Mother Love Bone, one of my favorite grunge bands. It's unfortunate that they didn't get to enjoy the success of grunge. He later formed Audioslave with Rage Against the Machine members, and he is well known for his 4-octave range and deep poetic lyrics. God, he was out of time. He should have been born a little bit earlier. He battled depression and substance abuse for most of his life, and he was sober for several years before reportedly being prescribed Ativan, which his family believes impacted his state of mind at the end. He did die on May 18th, 2017. I can't believe it's almost been 10 years, in Detroit after a Soundgarden show. He had spoken with his wife, and she did not find that there was any indication that there was going to be the result of that evening. He was found dead in his hotel room, in the bathroom specifically, and it was ruled an unaliving by himself by hanging. His family does dispute this verdict, citing substance abuse confusion and a lack of taking himself off the earth plane intent. So let's get in there. Chris, was your passing intentional? Was it intentional? Five of Cups. The Five of Cups, and it is depicted with Dave Grohl. There's Dave Grohl. The Five of Cups is about looking at things in their upside down fashion, not looking at things directly, not looking at the good things in life. What else do we have? The Ace of Pentacles and the Lovers in reverse. Now, I do have an opinion about the passing of Chris Cornell. This spread is telling me the exact opposite. This spread is telling me that there was intent here. There was intent to depart from the meat puppet, another reference, and Ace of Pentacles to go on and get out of here. What is your message to people who still question the official narrative of your death? Specifically, did medication cloud your mind? Did medication interfere? And immediately I feel a swimming sensation. Did medication cloud your mind? And there again, we have 5 of Wands. He was unable to kind of get the 7 of Wands is really about gaining your equilibrium, but this was about racing sounds and sights. And I do feel this like swimming, almost like a vertigo kind of feel. Was there something deeper spiritually at play? We have the Tower. And this is what was meant to be, the 2 of Wands. This was meant to be. So when we set out on these lifetimes, we do make an agreement as to how we are going to depart this mortal coil. I am aware of what mine are, and I don't like either one. I have 2 exits that I can make. No time frame really considered on that, but I don't like either exit. And I'm trying to avoid both of them. I don't know if I will, but this was his time. This was the agreed upon time frame, and the spirit world will sometimes push us in that direction by circumstance, which would be prescribed medications. And I do think that there is something there. I think there's something there. What would you want your fans and family to know now? What didn't you get to say to your fans? What didn't you get to say to your fans? Four of Cups, strength, 4 of Cups in reverse, and the 7 of Cups in reverse. It's all too much. As wonderful as it is for you, that 2-hour concert never ends for me. The time in the studio never ends for me. It feels very Willy Loman, like he's on this conveyor belt of production, and he had felt that some of his resources were tapped. I don't want to say that every vein was tapped, but some of his creative resources were tapped. He was finding out that work was taking over the experience that would fuel the art. It became more of a machine for him. Is there something you would like your family to know? Oh, it's just love. It's just love. It's just love. Ace of Pentacles. Ace of Pentacles. I think his intention is to come back and interact with that soul group in this lifetime again. So I wouldn't be surprised if, there's a grandchild born that, mysteriously does all the same things that Chris used to do, or behaves in ways that he did. How do you want to be remembered? How do you want to be remembered? The Moon. King of Cups. Seven of Swords in reverse. I don't like this message. The message really is that the greatest artists are torn open and on display for all. And that is what makes them great artists. I don't like that, because it's almost like the end is inevitable. We have Jim Morrison, Keith Moon, both represented there. Robert Plant, he's still with us. But the greatest artists, they're this font, and they are ripped open and on display. The worst kind of, attraction. And that is a caution. That is a caution to care for those artists and not to It's not to leave them alone. It really is a message of not to leave them alone. The preservation of these great resources of art. It's almost something we can't control, and that we won't control as a people. So we can't leave those artists alone for our own selfish purposes, but they burn bright, and they burn out. So, Chris, you once said that music was your healing. Do you feel that your music still holds power in the world today? And I will say this, Like a Stone from the Audioslave album, the first Audioslave production, got me through a horrible breakup. It was on repeat. So do you feel that your music still holds power in the world today? Three of Swords, King of Swords in reverse, and the Page of Cups in reverse. It's almost like a warning label on it. My music is a memory. It's a way to step into my skin, not unlike what I'm doing right now, stepping into his skin. There's a certain electricity to him. There's an untapped creative resource there that was dulled, I think, by medication. Whether that's street medication or legal medication, but I do think that there was a creative flow in him that he could not access, and I think he did need to transcend to get into a vessel that will be able to do that. There was a creative resources in him that he could sense, he could feel, but he could not access. And that was very frustrating. I think that precipitated the early exit, or what we perceive as an early exit. His music does heal, but it also does invite one into that pain. And that is where that warning sticker comes in, is that you will be experiencing what I'm experiencing. Are today's artists carrying that kind of emotional depth forward? This reading is making my stomach very upset. I want you guys to know that. I can feel it's right here. Like, oh. Six of Wands, Ten of Pentacles, Emperor in reverse. There is it feels dirty. So what it more feels like is transactional. Music is now transactional. I crank out a single. It's not this intimate experience of giving my emotions over. Feels like we're just kind of creating music because the next piece is due. It feels very much like paying for X versus finding it and getting down with somebody. It feels transactional. Feels very transactional. What would you have done differently, if anything, in your final year? What would you have done? What would you have done differently? What would you have done differently? Eight of Wands. I think he would have been more upfront about his limits and his struggle. He should have been more he should have spoken with people more about what was going on the inside. Because of the success that he had in sobriety, he was afraid to disclose that to people around him because he didn't want everyone to go into crisis mode. And he thought he could manage it. He thought he could manage it. And is at a point where he said, I can't manage this, which is part of the 12 steps, saying that you are powerless to that particular substance, to substances you are powerless. Do you regret returning to the spotlight? Do you regret that? Wheel of Fortune, 4 of Wands, and the Star. I belonged there. Like, there was no other place for him to be. That's where he belonged. That was his purpose. We all have to figure out what our purpose, capital P, is. And that was his purpose. So, no, he was compelled to be there. Let's do our little ghost notes here. So, current energy, where is he now? 3 of Pentacles. He's working on things on the other side with Rush. Emotional state before your passing. 2 of Cups. Ready to go. Ready to depart this mortal coil. Question, was the passing accidental or fated? I believe it was fated. Seven of Pentacles. Message to family and friends. What do they need to hear most? Knight of Cups. He was in pain. He was in pain. Musical legacy. What should never be forgotten? 1, 2, 3. That the powers in music really are with the artists, and the suits should be run by. If you're a musician and you're listening to this, you should run by and not tailor your career to what they are saying the cadence and the quality should be. Don't pay attention to that. So, heavy stuff, guys. Heavy stuff. Not what I expected. I will tell you that. I had a very certain feeling that he had some assistance on the way out. This reading says differently. What do you believe? What do you think about Chris Cornell? Do you think it was something larger and more complicated? There is stories about him, Avicii and Chester Pennington, working together on a project about some industry of moving small people around. What do you think? Do you think there's more to this? This reading and this channeling is saying that was a conveyor belt he was on. It was on the roller coaster. You're strapped in. You agreed to this. You got to get out. Let me know what you think about that. One of the greatest voices that we've ever had on this planet. Sang from the heels up. And let me know what's a lyric that Chris Cornell, put that down in the comments. Let's do this with a little bit of sweet remembrance. Let me know one lyric, either Chris Cornell, Audioslave, Soundgarden. Dumb Sex is always a fun song. If you don't know that song, look it up. When they were on tour, when Soundgarden was on tour with, I believe, Guns N' Roses, I think it's Axl Rose said he wouldn't let them leave the stage until they played Dumb Sex. And it is a heavy song. It's a wild song. But drop some lyrics. Let's make this a little happy. Drop some microphones for this big voice. We were lucky to have him. I'm very happy that I was on the planet during the same time as David Bowie. I'm also very happy that I was on the planet at the same time as Chris Cornell. I'm going to ask him to come visit me in a dream tonight. Maybe I'll get to sing with him. So we went all the way backstage on this one, guys. I will see you in the future.